Okay, welcome students. We are here with a coaching tool. I'm going to present with Kevin here. Thank you, Kevin, for being willing.
Thank you for hosting me.
And the coaching tool is How I Feel About Me, ABCs. Be looking for the 12-step coaching protocol. Okay, Kevin, here we are. Thank you for showing up today.
It's my pleasure, Kim. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. So before we get started, let's take a moment to enter sacred space. I think a great way to do that is to take a few deep breaths so we can drop into our hearts where God lives and we really can access that bountiful wisdom that is lying right there for all of us. So let's take a few moments to do that. And when you're ready, just let me know.
Okay.
Great. By the way, Kevin is
I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
And do you not love those woods?
I made
him set up his computer so we could see his woods. Now that we're in sacred space, I just want you to know that at any time, if you're feeling uncomfortable, let me know. And at this time, you are safe, and I am in my heart. And I would love to tell you that it's confidential, but it's not. We have students watching, but I know you have a generous, transparent heart. So
don't tell my mom.
So here we go. I'm going to ask you a question, and I just want you to answer in whatever comes up for you. No judging it. Don't even worry about right and wrong. Don't even positive or negative. Just whatever comes up. Sound like a good deal?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into your heart and how you feel about you. So we're going to use the alphabet. So an example is A is for awesome, B is for boring, but it's all going to be about how you feel about yourself. And again, no editing, whatever comes up. And when you're ready, you can start. And I am going to be the one to jot down your answers.
Okay. A is for accepting. B is for balanced. C is for centered. D is for disappointed. E is for everything. F is for final. G is for greatness. H is for heavy. I is for income. J is for justified. K is for kingdom. L is for lion. M is for money. N is for Nancy. O is for October. P is for patriarchy. Q is for questionable. R is for release. S is for steering. T is for trouble. U is for unglued. V is for valve. W is for welcome. X is for excellent. Y is for youth. And Z is for zenith.
Thank you, Kevin. That was a really good list. Well, these are the words you said. accepting, balanced, centered, disappointed, everything, final, greatness, heavy, income, justified, kingdom, lion, money, Nancy, October, patriarchy, questionable, release, staring, trouble, unglued, valve, welcome, excellent, youth, and zenith. Out of that list, what are the top 3 that you would say you wish you didn't feel that way?
Well, first of all, heavy for sure. And my D word was disappointed. Is that right?
Yes.
And I think there was something after T. What is T and onward, please?
Trouble, unglued.
Oh, unglued. There it is.
Okay. And if you're comfortable, Kevin, can you tell me a little bit about these words? Let's start with heavy.
Heavy. It makes it difficult to move around and be free and be light. And I would like very much more to be independent and simple and light, as opposed to having been heavy and weighted down and interconnected and you can't run away. So that's why I'd like heavy to move out.
What does heavy look like? What is heavy?
Heavy is about, heavy looks like when you're sitting down and you're poured into the chair even more. And instead of being empowered, you're burdened. Somehow the burden is interesting and there's some machismo there because you're carrying so much of a burden, but not very ready to leap, move forward, act in joy, create, and enjoy. That's the distinction that I get.
Excellent. Thank you. That's a good distinction. Then we've got disappointed. Tell me about disappointed.
Well, from cyclically, I do suffer from depression. And that's something that I would like to manage better. My management of depression has gotten considerably better in the last few years. But just like this morning, there was something that caused me to be angry at somebody and very disappointed and have an expectation that was not met. And I got back in my car and I said, I am not going to let this guy ruin my day. I am disappointed, but I am not going to let that ruin my moments and ruin my being present. So I think being able to take disappointed and flushing it and getting rid of it is a skill that I'm developing. But to not live in that disappointed feeling for minutes or hours or weeks is something I'd really like to experience.
What is disappointment for you? Is it disappointment in yourself or is it disappointment in others?
The disappointment in me is rather intense, heavy, and immobilizing. The disappointment in other people doesn't last very long because I tend to internalize blame, fault, and responsibility. So I would say the disappointment is in myself.
That's quite an awareness. Okay, and the last one, unglued. Tell me about that.
Unglued is fun. Unglued is fun when you're in a social situation and you're with friends. Unglued, if you ask my friends and some coworkers, you'll find that unglued is definitely a characteristic of mine that comes out from time to time. But I've learned in the last year that these moments when I'm unglued can either do harm to relationships or harm to friendships. or harm to professional relationships, or perhaps even harm to my time management. And I have to sort of catch myself before I go in these wacky, uncontrolled directions that may be fun and may be liberating. Got to say, you really, really have to hold on before you get unglued. So you take care of these responsibilities, you take care of your friendships, you take care of your professional responsibilities. And it takes a bit of effort to do that and have the self-awareness to say, you're unglued. Don't do that. It's fun, but you're going to hurt something. So that's why I'd like to manage unglued.
Wow, that's kind of amazing. I've never heard of unglued referred to as fun, but for you, it sounds like a liberation when you're kind of stepping into sort of this free-spirited, let yourself express. Does that sound fair to how you're feeling?
Yes, and for me, I don't use illegal drugs. I don't smoke. I really don't drink. So I have access to this being unglued just all on Malone.
So your unglued runs into trouble when you have to be responsible?
Well,
that line?
Responsible is a big word. Unglued gets in the way when I am too familiar with people at work. I mean, 2 things happened in the last 2 days that I really should have kept my mouth shut. And also it's difficult with responsibilities at work when I let things slide and I work on something that's maybe not as important, or I ignore things. But also a new thing that I have learned to appreciate this year is that if I am too unglued with friendships, then I can cause damage. And I don't want to cause that damage, and I need to slow down before I act to make sure that I don't do something that could be harmful.
Okay. Now, the top 3 words that you just love that you feel this way about yourself. Which ones would those be?
Well, I love unglued, but it's on the other list. So tell me about the first 5. I think those were really nice to start with.
I can, but you can choose your unglued in the positive.
Let's keep unglued in the positive. I think that could be productive.
Okay, I think so too with your definition of it. So your first 5, you've got accepting, balanced, centered, disappointed, everything, final, greatness, justified, kingdom, lion, sharing, excellent, zenith.
Zenith as in top.
Oh. Is that one?
Let's go with A and Z, zenith and acceptance, especially acceptance. Acceptance means the world to me.
So we've got acceptance, zenith, and we know what positive unglued is. What is acceptance for you?
Acceptance is a very central word for me. It's love. It is opening. It's the way that I feel about friends, and that has intensified a lot in the last 3 months. It's being open. It's very related to unglued for that matter, but accepting with people is sort of a welcoming that one hands out as a friendship or a professional relationship opens. But acceptance was also a word for me today when I was dealing with situations that I have resisted. Acceptance is, to me, the opposite of resistance. We resist a lot of things in our life, but when you can accept a situation or something that's regular, even if it's very unpleasant, but somehow necessary, acceptance is just releasing and accepting, whether it's the will of God or a trial that you have to go through. Instead of cursing it, pushing it, allowing it to be, not letting it take up too much of your mind and your body, and dealing with the situation more graciously, more peacefully. So that's what I see for acceptance.
That's amazing. And you feel that way about yourself. That's great. Okay, and then we've got zenith.
There are problems with zenith, but let's just talk about the positive aspects. Zenith really comes from my Myers-Briggs ENTP characterization that's been true for most of my life. The point of optimizing things and getting them just the best that you can get them and being way, way on top, not in the sense of pushing other people away or having necessarily a high feeling. I mean, you can have a flow-like feeling that you're doing great things, but the idea that you're doing very well, you're reaping the benefits, you're in the zone, you're doing what you really need to, and maybe even you can say, that was a great day, I'm going to relax now. Zenith is just, for me, the sense that you're at the top of your game, things have really gone well, and you can rest. And maybe tomorrow will be that good. Maybe it won't. You can accept that. But to me, Zenith is just what you shoot for, and sometimes you really do get that, and the feeling that you get.
That's awesome. Beautifully said. I love that word. That's going to be a favorite word of mine now. Okay, so great job. And now we're going to take a little bit of a turn. What causes you to go from feeling good about you, these good feelings that you talked about, to the ones that not liking so much? What causes you to drop?
What causes me to drop? Either a memory that comes up and gets sort of front and center and clouds my attention. Most commonly, it's a negative memory, something unresolved. Or perhaps it's an event that occurs, something that is either frustrating, doesn't go the way that I want, or causes things to be a bit more jittery, or I have to work and act harder than I thought. Or perhaps when something occurs and one of my expectations is not met, and I have to go, wow, I was really looking forward to that. And it looks like that's not going to come to pass.
Okay. Okay, Kevin, I'm going to ask you to impersonate someone. And that someone is God. So I'm going to interview you. You're going to pretend to be God. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just going to share a few attributes about God. God is unconditionally loving, unconditionally accepting, unconditionally forgiving, and he believes in you 100%. So I'm interviewing God, and God is going to do the same exercise and give me the letters describing his beautiful son, Kevin. Okay, God? You ready?
Yes.
Okay, go for it. I was going to say the words can be the same if you choose to have them be the same.
Accepted. Beloved. Created. Divine. Entire. Fabulous. Great. Heavenly. Ideal. Journeyman. Kind. Lovable. Masterful. Nuanced. Open. Pleasurable. Quality. Respected. Sincere. Testworthy. Up. Verifiable. Wise. Extravagant. Yourself. Zone.
Thank you, God. I'm gonna ask you to be Kevin again. How did it feel, Kevin, to say out loud how God feels about you?
I think the word kind gave me a huge shift. That was the one that I would not have given myself. It's the one that I do look for in others. So to be able to give to myself or to have God give to me what I so seek in others was quite pleasurable and divine.
Thank you. How can remembering how God feels about you keep you feeling good about you?
Going through this tool and being in this sacred space and having moments like that are, I believe, are accessible to me. It's like having a good meal and you remember it a long period of time. While I'm here in this space and we go through this, those transformations that, like the moment when I said kind, I'm going like, really? Wow, that will stay with me.
It'll stay with you.
Stay with me in the sense that I'll be able to have access to it tomorrow and the days to come.
That's incredible.
I think that's a great asset of this tool.
Do you think there's some sort of routine or step or some way to keep this in the forefront? I love how you said it's like a good meal that you're just never going to forget. So in coaching, we want you to create something concrete so you can remember this feeling, that feeling you had when you said kind. Yeah. So what's a way that you can make sure a month from now you remember? Because, life happens. Is there something you can do to make sure that you keep these awarenesses alive? Can I offer you an idea that you might enjoy?
Yes, please do.
I really loved that word kind too. It really struck a chord for me when you shared how it touched you so. So what if you just wrote kind on a piece of paper and stuck it in your wallet? Or just the word kind and just put it somewhere that you'll see it and you remember this moment and you can recreate that warm, loving feeling about yourself, the way God feels about you. How does that feel to do something like that? So to me, it's like it reminds me of how sometimes I try to leave little notes for my partner in hidden places, and then all of a sudden he finds it, and the joy that you feel that someone thought of you. So that's what I'm sort of eliciting, if that feels good to you.
Yeah, most definitely. I would like to be reminded of that as the days go by. That would be a nice thing.
What if you did write it and put it somewhere? Where would you put it? Do you want to find it a month from now, or do you want to find it every day?
I have decided to write it out and put it on the bathroom mirror because that's when I'm really going through this transition of I need to make my decisions. Is today going to be a good day? Is today going to be a yucky day? How can I start to put the energy into the beginning of the day in a very positive fashion? That's really where it belongs.
Okay, I love it. And if you're willing, do you feel like being stretched a little bit? Taking another step?
While we're here, yes.
Okay. What if you chose something specific that would cause you to feel this kindness? What is it that you could actually do? And I'm thinking maybe in an activity where you get this feeling.
Honestly, it for me, it does have to do with touching my face. It really has to do with touching my face. The coolness, the openness, the tactile sense. Uh, that's really what it is for me.
Okay. So when you do that, you feel that kindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of cool because you can access that a lot.
Yeah. And if I'm in public, nobody really knows what's going on, but that's where the coolness, the relief, and the love sort of comes in, and it addresses unglued as well. It calms, and the calming is an important aspect of things. But the point is, it reminds me, it allows me to accept the kindness that I give others.
Mm.
Because as the kindness and the calmness is shown to me, I am then able to share it with others, so I don't sort of get depleted. And the touch helps me to rejuvenate, so I may continue to show and receive that kindness. But it as a sensation that's helpful.
That's great, Kevin. So to create this commitment, when do you plan on executing? When do you plan on writing kind on a piece of paper and putting it on your bathroom mirror?
I can do that when we're done here. It's rather simple, and I'm looking forward to it in the morning.
Oh, that's good. Okay. And then we like to measure our results. So how is it that you can discover how you're doing in the future on this?
Well, what I can do is I can write it on a Post-it, the kindness, and I can date it to know when it did appear. And like after a week, for example, I can journal about how it happens to be different. Because it would be my expectation that after a week of going through my morning routine, that being reminded of the space in which God cherishes me as being kind, that after a week I can reflect on that and see how successful, where that's gone in my life, how much it stays with me during the day. I think that would be a worthwhile thing to do as the weeks go by.
Oh, I like that. It's also important to share this experience that you had with someone that you trust and that will keep you accountable. And who would that be?
To keep me accountable, it would be great to be able to do it with you, since we're both familiar with this experience, if that's okay.
That's great. So when are you checking in with me?
I'm checking in with you in 1 week.
I'm marking it down.
Sunday evening. There we go.
Okay, Kevin, I really appreciate you. I think you did great today. You established some massive clarity, and we all saw how you were able to see God's perspective and embrace that you are kind, and what a beautiful gift you are to others. And I love that you've established a plan to remind yourself of how kind you are and how kind God is to you. And you're going to see how you're doing in a week, and you're going to check in with me with accountability. And that is really powerful stuff. So thank you, Kevin. And I can't wait to check in with you.
I thank you so very much for sharing with me. And I also look forward to meeting up in a week.
Okay. So do you feel complete with this exercise?
Yes, I've I've enjoyed the new perspective and the gift that it has given me.
You know, what we learn in coaching is the fact that you just had that one moment with the word kind. That's it.
Yep.
That's all we needed.